The Phantom drifted silently through the void, its quantum stealth systems rendering it invisible to even the most advanced sensors. Commander Sarah Chen watched through the bridge viewport as another Correction warship passed within kilometers of her vessel, completely oblivious to its presence. Her ship's revolutionary metamaterial hull absorbed all scanning frequencies, while its passive sensors gathered invaluable intelligence about humanity's latest threat. Another destroyer squadron heading toward the Arcturus sector, reported Lieutenant James Rodriguez from the sensor station. That makes 15 capital ships in the last week alone. Sarah nodded, her expression grim. The Correxian Empire's military buildup had accelerated dramatically in recent months. Their fleets were pushing ever closer to human space, conquering or subjugating every civilization in their path. The Empire claimed to be bringing order and advancement to primitive species, but Sarah had seen the truth: worlds stripped of resources, populations enslaved, cultures erased. "Log it and continue monitoring," she ordered. "How's our power signature?" "Completely masked, Commander," answered Chief Engineer Maya Patel from her station. "The quantum sync is performing perfectly. We're just another piece of space debris as far as they're concerned." The Phantom represented humanity's greatest technological achievement, a deep space stealth vessel capable of gathering intelligence in plain sight of the enemy. Its development had been kept secret even from most of Earth's government. Only a handful of people knew the full capabilities of the experimental ship and its hand-picked crew. "Commander," called out Rodriguez suddenly, "I'm picking up some unusual energy readings from the Correxian flagship. They're charging weapons." Sarah leaned forward in her command chair. "Show me." The main view screen shifted to display the massive Correxian dreadnought. Its crystalline hull glowed with building power as weapon capacitors charged. But there were no other vessels in the area besides the Phantom. "What are they targeting?" she wondered aloud. The answer came moments later as a civilian transport dropped out of FTL travel nearby. A refugee ship from one of the worlds recently conquered by the Empire. The vessel's engines were obviously damaged, trailing plasma as it limped through space. Sarah's hands clenched the arms of her chair. The Phantom's standing orders were absolute: maintain stealth and gather intelligence only. Direct intervention was strictly forbidden, as it would reveal humanity's technological capabilities to the Empire. But she couldn't just watch innocent civilians be slaughtered. "Tactical, what's the status of our weapon systems?" she asked. Lieutenant Carmen Ortiz responded immediately. "Quantum torpedoes are loaded and tracking systems are online. But Commander, if we fire, our stealth will be compromised. The entire sector will know we're here." Sarah watched as the Correxian dreadnought's weapon ports began to glow. The refugee ship was trying to turn away, but with its damaged engines it had no hope of escape. In moments, hundreds of innocent lives would be ended simply to satisfy the Empire's doctrine of absolute dominance. "Sometimes the right choice isn't the one in the rulebook," Sarah said quietly. "Tactical, target their primary weapon arrays. Engineering, prepare to divert power from stealth systems to weapons and shields on my mark." Her crew tensed but moved to comply without hesitation. They had all seen enough of the Empire's brutality during their months of covert observation. "Commander," Maya spoke up from engineering, "I can give you about 15 seconds of both stealth and weapons if we redline the quantum sync. It won't be enough time for them to get a lock on us." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. This was why the Phantom's crew had been chosen, not just for their skills, but for their ability to think creatively under pressure. "Perfect. Tactical, plot-firing solutions for all primary weapon hardpoints on that dreadnought. The moment they commit to firing on that transport, I want their entire weapons grid taken offline." She opened a channel to all stations. "All hands, battle stations." Quietly. The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, preparing for combat while maintaining the ship's stealth profile. Sarah watched the Correxian vessel, waiting for the telltale energy spike that would signal their weapons discharge. There, the dreadnought's main gun began its firing sequence. Sarah's voice was cold as space itself as she gave the order. Execute. The Phantom's quantum torpedoes struck with surgical precision, appearing to materialize from empty space. The dreadnought's weapon ports exploded in rapid succession before their operators even realized they were under attack. By the time the Coraxian crew began to react, the Phantom had already vanished back into stealth, leaving no trace of its presence. The refugee ship didn't waste the opportunity, its engineers somehow coaxing enough power from their damaged engines to limp away into FTL. The Coraxian dreadnought hung motionless, its weapons in ruins, its crew undoubtedly trying to understand what had just happened. Damage report on the target? Sarah asked. Multiple direct hits confirmed, Ortiz reported. Their primary and secondary weapon arrays are completely disabled. No casualties detected. The automated systems took the brunt of the damage. Good. Sarah had no desire to inflict unnecessary deaths, even on an enemy. What's their communication status? They're broadcasting on all frequencies, Commander, Rodriguez answered, calling for reinforcements and reporting an attack by unknown forces using previously unseen weapons technology. Sarah nodded grimly. Plot a course out of the sector, maximum stealth. We need to report this to command. She paused, then added, along with my formal reprimand for violating mission parameters, include my personal note that the Empire has now escalated to firing on civilian refugee vessels. They need to know that war is coming, whether we want it or not. As the Phantom slipped away through the darkness of space, Sarah knew she had just changed the course of human history. The Empire would no longer be able to dismiss humanity as primitive or harmless. But perhaps that was for the best. Better to fight on their own terms than wait for the Empire to strike first. The emergency meeting of Earth's Defense Council erupted into chaos as Commander Chen's report played on the main screen. Admirals and generals argued across the circular table while diplomatic officials attempted to propose peaceful solutions. Fleet Admiral Helena Torres watched it all with growing frustration. The Phantom was under strict orders not to engage, shouted General Richards, pounding his fist on the table. Commander Chen should be court-martialed for this breach of protocol. She saved hundreds of civilian lives, countered Admiral Patel. Are we supposed to just watch while the Empire murders refugees? Helena finally stood, her commanding presence silencing the room. Commander Chen made the only choice she could, given the circumstances. But that's not why I called this meeting. She gestured to her aide, who brought up a new holographic display above the table. This is why. The display showed thousands of Coraxian warships moving in formation toward human space. Long-range scans revealed wave after wave of vessels, far more than their intelligence had previously indicated. They're not coming to negotiate, Helena stated flatly. The Empire has been planning this invasion for months. The Phantom's intervention just moved up their timetable. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had hoped to avoid conflict with the Coraxian Empire, but it seemed war was inevitable. What are our options? Asked President Chen from her position at the head of the table. Helena activated another display, showing Earth's hidden defense network. Project Aegis is ready. The automated defense platforms we've been building in secret are fully operational. Our stealth shipyards have completed the first wave of advanced warships. We can fight. Against that many ships, General Richards scoffed. It would be suicide. Not necessarily, said Dr. Sarah Wong, head of Earth's Advanced Weapons Division. The Phantom's encounter proved something critical. Our quantum technology is completely unknown to them. Their sensors can't detect it. Their shields can't stop it. We have the element of surprise. President Chen studied the tactical displays carefully. How long until their fleet reaches our borders? At their current speed, 3 days, Helena answered. But we have an advantage they don't know about. The Phantom wasn't just gathering intelligence these past months. It was mapping their fleet movements, command structures, and communication protocols. We know exactly how they'll attack. The President nodded slowly. Then we strike first. Admiral Torres, you have full authority to execute our defense plans. Show them why it was a mistake to underestimate humanity. Helena's orders went out immediately. Across human space, hidden shipyards activated. Vessels that had been disguised as civilian ships or space stations revealed their true nature. The quantum defense network powered up, ready to protect human worlds. Aboard the newly commissioned Earth warship Defiant, Helena stood on the bridge watching her fleet assemble. Unlike the crystalline aesthetic of Caraxian vessels, human ships were sleek and dark, designed to channel and absorb energy rather than reflect it. Each one carried weapons and defenses that had been carefully developed in secret, waiting for this moment. "Status report," she ordered. "All ships report ready, Admiral," responded her tactical officer. "Quantum drives are spooled and targeting systems are locked on the enemy's predicted arrival coordinates. The Phantom has transmitted their latest intelligence update. The Caraxian fleet is maintaining course and speed, completely unaware of our preparations." Helena allowed herself a grim smile. The Empire thought they were dealing with a primitive species, one that would be easy to conquer. They had no idea that humanity had been preparing for this day ever since they first detected the Empire's expansion decades ago. "Send word to all ships," she commanded. "Operation Stormbreak is now active. All vessels will proceed to their designated positions and await my signal. Today we show the Empire that humanity will not bow to tyranny." The fleet moved out in perfect formation, their quantum drives allowing them to slip through space undetected. Helena had positioned her forces carefully. When the Empire arrived, they would find themselves caught in a carefully planned trap. "Admiral," called out her sensor officer suddenly, "we're detecting multiple FTL signatures at the edge of the system. They're ahead of schedule." Helena's expression hardened. "Show me." The tactical display lit up as Caraxian warships began appearing in massive numbers. Their formation was exactly as the Phantom had predicted. The Empire was nothing if not consistent in their tactics. "They're launching fighter screens," reported Tactical. "Energy readings indicate they're charging weapons." "Let them come," Helena said calmly. "All ships maintain stealth protocols. Wait for them to fully commit to the attack." She watched as more enemy vessels arrived, their arrogance evident in their obvious approach. "Let's show them what happens when they threaten our worlds." The trap was set. Now it was time to spring it. The Caraxian fleet moved into position with mechanical precision, their crystalline ships forming a perfect attack grid. Admiral Torres watched through the Defiant's quantum sensors as the enemy vessels prepared to launch what they assumed would be a devastating first strike against an unprepared human defense force. "Enemy flagship is broadcasting," announced her communications officer. "They're demanding immediate surrender of all human worlds." "Let them waste their breath," Helena responded. She opened a secure channel to her hidden fleet. "All ships, execute Operation Stormbreak on my mark." The Empire's massive dreadnoughts began powering up their main guns, preparing to rain destruction upon Earth's outer colonies. They never saw the attack coming. Mark. Space itself seemed to ripple as hundreds of human warships dropped their stealth fields simultaneously. The Defiant's quantum weapons fired first, targeting the enemy flagship's command and control systems. Similar strikes launched from every vessel in Helena's fleet, each one aimed at critical weak points identified during months of covert observation. The Caraxian response was chaos. Their rigid command structure, designed for overwhelming force against inferior opponents, completely failed against an enemy that struck from all directions with weapons they couldn't detect or defend against. Their crystalline ships, beautiful but predictable in design, shattered under precisely targeted quantum torpedoes. "Multiple direct hits confirmed," reported Tactical. "Enemy fleet cohesion is breaking down. Their automated defense systems are trying to adapt, but they can't track our quantum signatures." Helena nodded grimly. "Launch Phase 2. Let's show them what else we've been working on." Across the battlefield, smaller human vessels revealed themselves. These were the product of Project Chimera, ships designed to exploit the fundamental weaknesses in Caraxian technology. As they approached the enemy fleet, they began broadcasting on exactly the right frequencies to create devastating resonance patterns in the crystalline hulls. Entire squadrons of Coraxian ships began to break apart, their once beautiful designs becoming their greatest weakness. The Empire's commanders tried to adjust, but their responses were predictable, based on millennia of unchanged tactical doctrine. "Admiral," called out her sensor officer, "enemy reinforcements dropping out of FTL. A lot of them." The tactical display showed hundreds more Coraxian vessels arriving. But Helena had planned for this too. "Execute Phase 3, she ordered. "Show them why you don't corner humanity." The quantum defense network activated. Satellites that had appeared dormant for years revealed their true nature, creating an interlocking grid of gravitational distortions. The arriving Coraxian ships found their carefully plotted formations disrupted, their ships pulled out of position by forces they couldn't detect or understand. "Enemy fleet is in disarray," Tactical reported with satisfaction. "Their command and control network is completely compromised. Individual ship commanders are trying to coordinate, but our quantum interference is blocking their communications." Helena opened a channel to all human ships. "All vessels, engage at will. Target their weapons and engines. Let's show them that humanity knows the difference between winning a battle and slaughtering an enemy." The battle that followed would be studied for centuries to come. Human ships, smaller but infinitely more maneuverable, danced between the massive Coraxian vessels. Quantum weapons struck with surgical precision, disabling rather than destroying where possible. The Empire's fleet, designed to overwhelm through sheer force, found itself being systematically dismantled by an enemy they had gravely underestimated. "Admiral," called out her tactical officer, "the enemy flagship is charging their main gun. Energy readings are off the scale. They're going to try to take out our entire fleet with one shot." Helena studied the readings. The Empire was desperate now, willing to sacrifice their own ships caught in the blast just to prove their supremacy. "Not today," she said quietly. "All ships, execute Protocol Omega." The Defiant's quantum drive hummed as it calculated the precise coordinates. Around the battlefield, other human ships did the same. Just as the Coraxian flagship prepared to fire, Helena's fleet vanished, only to reappear seconds later in completely different positions, their own weapons already firing. The flagship's massive energy discharge hit empty space as quantum torpedoes struck its primary power core. The mighty vessel, pride of the Empire's fleet, went dark. Enemy flagship disabled. Tactical confirmed. Their remaining ships are going into full retreat. Quantum tracking shows they're falling back to their rally points exactly as predicted. Helena allowed herself a small smile. "Send word to Earth. Tell them Phase 1 is complete. The Empire now knows they're not dealing with primitives anymore." She paused, then added, "And get me a channel to Commander Chen on the Phantom." Her intelligence made this victory possible. She should see what her actions set in motion. But even as her crew celebrated their victory, Helena knew this was just the beginning. The Empire wouldn't take this defeat lightly. They would return with everything they had, determined to prove their superiority. The real war was about to begin. 3 weeks after humanity's decisive victory, the Coraxian Empire's high command gathered in their crystal citadel. Supreme Commander Vexthor stood before the Imperial Council, his crystalline armor dulled with shame. "Impossible," the Arch-Counselor hissed, her metallic voice echoing through the chamber. "How could primitives who barely achieved spaceflight defeat our greatest fleet?" "Their technology," Vexthor began, "it defies all known principles. They've developed weapons we cannot detect, defenses we cannot breach. Our tactical databases have no answer for their strategies." The council chamber erupted in angry whispers. For 50,000 years, the Empire had dominated the galaxy through technological superiority. Now, for the first time, they faced an enemy that made their greatest achievements seem obsolete. "Then we will show them true power," the Arch-Counselor declared. "Activate the Worldbreaker." Meanwhile, Aboard the Defiant, Admiral Torres reviewed intelligence reports with growing concern. The Phantom's latest stealth mission had detected massive energy signatures from deep within Empire territory. "They're moving something big," Commander Chen reported via quantum link. "Something that's drawing power from multiple star systems." Helena studied the data, her expression grim. "Dr. Wong." Analysis. Sarah Wong's hologram flickered as she pointed to specific energy patterns. "These readings suggest they're charging a weapon of unprecedented scale. Based on the power requirements, they could potentially destabilize planetary cores." "A planet killer," Helena said quietly. "They're so desperate to prove their supremacy that they'll resort to genocide." The tactical room fell silent. Humanity had won their first battle through superior technology and strategy. But how could they defend against a weapon that could destroy entire worlds? "Wait," Dr. Wong said suddenly, her eyes lighting up with revelation. "These energy patterns, they're using the same crystalline technology as their ships, just scaled up massively. If we could create a large enough resonance field," Helena understood immediately, "we could turn their own weapon against them. But we'd need to get close enough to analyze the exact frequency." "The Phantom could do it," Commander Chen volunteered. "We've already mapped most of their territory. One more stealth mission." "No," Helena cut her off. "They'll be expecting that now. We need something they won't anticipate. Something that goes against everything they think they know about us." She turned to her tactical officer. "Get me a secure line to Earth. I have an idea that's just crazy enough to work." 48 hours later, the Empire detected a single human transport ship entering their space. Scans showed it was unarmed, carrying only a small crew and what appeared to be scientific equipment. Following their standard protocols, they immediately dispatched a battle group to intercept. "Status report," Helena commanded from the Defiance bridge, hidden safely away in quantum stealth. "They took the bait," her tactical officer reported. "Enemy vessels are moving to surround the transport." The transport's captain, Dr. Wong herself, maintained a steady course even as Coraxian warships surrounded her vessel. "This is a civilian science vessel," she broadcast on all frequencies. "We seek dialogue with the Empire regarding mutual scientific exchange." The Empire's response was predictable. They immediately seized the ship and began transporting it to their nearest military facility for study, exactly as planned. Phase 1 complete, Dr. Wong transmitted via heavily encrypted quantum burst. "Their arrogance is working against them. They're so convinced of their superiority that they never considered this might be a trap." Helena watched as events unfolded exactly as predicted. The Empire, eager to understand how a primitive species had defeated them, would want to study both the ship and its crew. They would bring them close to their most secure facilities, including the World Breaker project. "All ships maintain position," she ordered her cloaked fleet. "Wait for Dr. Wong's signal." Days passed as the Empire scientists examined the transport and interrogated its crew. They found exactly what they expected: evidence of quantum technology they couldn't quite understand, and scientists eager to explain their work. Too eager. "Admiral," her communications officer called out, receiving Dr. Wong's signal. "She's mapped the World Breaker's resonance frequency." Helena allowed herself a predatory smile. "Send the coordinates to all ships. Prepare to execute Operation Echo." The Empire never saw it coming. As they prepared to demonstrate their planet killer's power, hundreds of quantum-shifted human vessels appeared around their supposedly secret facility. But instead of weapons, each ship carried massive resonance generators tuned to exactly the right frequency. The crystalline structure of the World Breaker began to vibrate. The Empire scientists realized too late what was happening as their greatest weapon began to tear itself apart from within. "Resonance cascade achieving critical levels," reported Tactical. "The chain reaction is spreading through their entire defensive network." Helena opened a channel to Dr. Wong's transport. "Get out of there. Now." The transport's engines, previously hidden, revealed their true power as the ship shot away from the doomed facility. Behind it, the Empire's ultimate weapon collapsed in on itself, its own power turned against it. Enemy facility destroyed. Tactical confirmed. No planetary damage detected. Clean takedown. Helena nodded with satisfaction. Send word to Earth. The Empire's superweapon gambit has failed. Now let's see if they're ready to talk about peace. The crystalline halls of the Imperial Palace fell silent as Admiral Helena Torres walked beside Commander Chen toward the peace negotiations. Their footsteps echoed off walls that had never before admitted a primitive species as equals. "They're scanning us," Sarah Chen muttered, her quantum sensors detecting the subtle probes. "Let them," Helena replied calmly. "They won't find anything they understand." The great doors to the council chamber opened, revealing the full Imperial Council. The Arch-Councilor's crystalline form seemed dimmer than in previous transmissions, the defeat of their civilization evident in every facet. "You have broken the natural order," the Arch-Councilor began, her metallic voice carrying less authority than before. "For 50,000 years, the Empire has guided lesser species toward enlightenment. Yet you hid in darkness, developing technologies that should not exist." "We developed what we needed to survive," Helena responded. "Your Empire's history of conquest gave us no choice. We watched you subjugate dozens of species, strip their worlds of resources, erase their cultures. Humanity chose a different path." The chamber erupted in murmurs as various council members processed this defiance. Supreme Commander Vexthor stepped forward, his once proud bearing now tempered by humility. "How?" he demanded. "How did you advance so far without being detected?" Sarah Chen answered, her voice carrying across the chamber. "We learned from history. Every dominant civilization eventually grows complacent, convinced of their own superiority. You stopped innovating because you thought you had all the answers. But humanity never stops questioning, never stops searching for new solutions." "And now," the Arch-Councilor asked, "you have destroyed our greatest weapons, shattered our fleets. Will you take our place as the galaxy's conquerors?" Helena shook her head. "We're not here to conquer. We're here to offer a choice." She nodded to Sarah, who activated a holographic display. It showed worlds that had been stripped by the Empire, but with a difference. New technologies were helping restore them, healing the damage done by centuries of exploitation. "This is what we've been developing alongside our military technology," Helena explained. "Methods to repair planetary damage, restore ecosystems, rebuild what was destroyed. We're offering to share this knowledge." "In exchange for what?" Vexthor asked suspiciously. "Change," Helena stated simply. "End your policy of conquest. Work with other species as equals, not subjects. Help us restore what was destroyed. The galaxy doesn't need masters, it needs partners." The council chamber erupted in debate. Some members raged against working with lesser beings, while others saw the wisdom in adaptation. The Arch-Councilor raised her hand for silence. "And if we refuse?" Helena's expression hardened. "Then we'll defeat you again. And again. As many times as necessary. Humanity won't allow the subjugation of other species to continue. But we'd rather work together than remain enemies." Hours of negotiation followed. When Helena and Sarah finally emerged from the chamber, they carried with them the first peace treaty the Empire had ever signed, as equals rather than conquerors. "Think they'll honor it?" Sarah asked as they walked back to their ship. "They don't have much choice," Helena replied. "But more importantly, I think some of them actually want to. Sometimes defeat can teach wisdom that victory never could." Aboard the Defiant, Helena recorded her final report to Earth's government. "The Empire has agreed to our terms. They'll begin withdrawing from conquered worlds immediately. Our restoration teams are standing by to begin planetary rehabilitation efforts. More importantly, they've agreed to help us contact other spacefaring species that have been hiding from them." It seems humanity wasn't the only civilization developing in secret. She paused, looking out at the stars. "We've changed the course of galactic history, But our real work is just beginning. The Empire spent 50,000 years teaching the galaxy to fear strength. Now we have the chance to show them a different way. Sarah Chen joined her at the viewport. What do you think we'll find out there? Now that other species know they can come out of hiding. Helena smiled. That's the best part. We don't know. The galaxy's returning to a state of discovery and innovation. No more stagnation under a single powers ideology. She turned to her friend. The Phantom's going to be busy. There are a lot of hidden civilizations out there waiting to meet humanity. And if we find more empires like this one, then we'll face them with the same determination and ingenuity that brought us here. But I hope instead we'll find new allies, new perspectives, new ways of thinking that we never imagined. As the Defiant prepared to return to Earth, Helena reflected on how far humanity had come. They had faced extinction and emerged stronger. They had confronted an overwhelming enemy and found a way to turn that enemy's strength against them. But most importantly, they had done it without losing their humanity. The galaxy was entering a new age, one where strength would be measured not by the ability to conquer, but by the wisdom to cooperate and innovate. Humanity had proved itself ready to help guide that transformation, not through dominance, but through innovation, determination, and an unwavering commitment to protecting the rights of all species to forge their own path among the stars. The war was over. The real adventure was just beginning.